This podcast episode is sponsored by Palumbo and Bertrand, attorneys at law.
Good day, seniors and active adults. Welcome back to our YouTube podcast, Get Your Weekly Slice, where we protect, inform, and educate you, our seniors and active adults, every week about what you should know as you age. It is about keeping you, our seniors, in the know. This podcast is about real estate / insurance, part 2 out of a 4-part series. And I'm going to pose a question to you. How many of you, seniors and active adults, would like to get the most money out of your home and or investment properties when you're selling? I think most of us are. And I'll answer that for everyone. I think most of us want the most money. So I'm going to share a story with you. And this story goes this way. I was contacted by one of my resources, Tim from Heckham Loan for Purchase. And the reason he called is he was contacted by a lady who he sold a Heckham loan to several years back. And I want to say 8 to 10 years ago. And he was contacted by the sister and brother-in-law because this lady who chose to purchase the Heckham Loan for Purchase and stay in her home because she had equity in the house. She was cash poor, but had equity, wanted to stay in the house, didn't want to go into an independent living, and she paid out of pocket for someone, a caregiver, to come in, or a healthcare provider to help her every day. Now, her health was declining, and hence the call to Tim from the brother-in-law wanting to know if there was a real estate agent that he could recommend. He recommended me. Tim and I met with them, and we had a conversation. We talked about, I did some pre-work when it comes to the comps. And the comps, in my opinion, the house should have sold for anywhere from $560 to $590. And he was okay with that. And what we did is we started out high, and with the understanding that if it wasn't under contract within 30 days, that we needed to make an adjustment, really 15 to 30 days. The sister-in-law got progressively worse. She was in hospice now. And so they allowed me to list and sell the property. And I got quite a few calls because this little piece of property had access to water, even though it was a minimal amount of access to a big lake. So we got quite a few calls, and I got a lot of tire kickers. People, because of the work, they needed updating, etc. They were willing to pay maybe $500, $475, that type of thing. So the brother-in-law kind of held his ground, and finally, close to the 30-day mark, we lowered the price from $585 down to $569, $570. Fortunately for us, within 5 days, we got an offer, and it was a cash offer for the property. So we went through the process. I connected him with an estate sale person to liquidate the property, the insides, and then get rid of what was left over. So when time came to close on the property, the house was cleaned out. And that worked for all parties. In the midst of this, the homeowner whose health was declining had passed. And they had a service and I attended, and then the brother-in-law and sister, they went back, and then we corresponded back and forth. And by doing that, we kept a pulse on everything. I took control. I made sure that we did the estate sale. Everything was out of the house, and any other incidentals that they had questions or concerns about. So long story short, we ended up closing the property, and we sold it at the 570 price. When I asked them to do a testimonial for him, which they did graciously, they had mentioned that they had spoke with 2 other agents, and those 2 agents didn't want to list that property, which the brother-in-law felt the value was above 500,000, above 550, maybe to 600,000 at the most, because of the minimal water access. So he shared that he passed on both of them, chose me because I was more realistic about where the price was. And we were in a market that was just starting to develop where the seller was the one that was dictating what the price was going to be. His overall thought was that the 2 agents that he interviewed prior to me is all they wanted to do is lowball the price, sell the property, and get paid. Whereas I offered a realistic price, wait the time out to be patient, help them with anything they needed in regards to liquidating that property so they didn't have to worry about that. And that's why they chose me, a certified senior housing professional. So I want to just share that story. So we ended up selling the property for 570. So we got them most likely 75,000 more than the other agents. My next question: how many of you are worried your home won't sell or you won't get the most money for it in the condition it's in? The story. I was referred to this single lady who lost her husband 5 years previous because she was looking to move into an independent assisted memory care community. I met with her, told her what I could help her out with, and she allowed me to come to the house, look at it, and the condition, it needed some, not a lot, of work done. But that work, I could reach out to my handyman. He could do the work, spruce it up. We could list and sell the property. We could get rid of the remaining items in the house, which I helped her out with those big butt end TVs. There was like 4 or 5 of them. I took those on my Meals on Wheels route. I contacted the gatekeeper for this subsidized housing project for seniors. And she was able to find 5 people who needed a TV because they had free Wi-Fi, but they didn't have money to buy a TV. So she placed those TVs in there. Where most people have a problem getting rid of them, I was able to give them to someone who could use them. And that worked out great. So long story short, I kind of looked, and there was probably $25,000 worth of work that she needed done on the house. I told her I would take care of everything, bring the handyman in, take care of that. You don't have to pay him up front. When the house lists and sells with me, we'll be able to pay that bill to spruce this up to get you more money at the closing table, so there's no out-of-pocket expense. So I followed up with her every couple weeks. And when I called her this one time, she said, I've already made my decision. I already moved in to the independent living, because she was also looking at an independent, standalone independent community only. And she said that, I said, so when do you want to list to sell your home? And she says, well, I already sold it. I said, you did? And she said, yeah, I got a call from this company. It was a quick sale. We got it under contract. They took care of everything, and we closed it in 2 weeks. I got my money in there. So I said, oh, okay. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. And I wished her well with her move. So I followed up on this. Well, lo and behold, I found out that she sold that home to an investor flipper for cash 14 days, which in my previous podcast I'm warning you about. She did that and sold it for $200,000 cash. What I want to share with you is they went in, they did about $25,000 worth of work, because I seen the pictures, because they worked on it, flipped it, put it back on the market within 30 days. They sold it for $475,000. So technically, she left $250,000 on the table. That's why I say I will get you the most money for your property. So she sold it, quick cash deal, for 200. They turned around, did the repairs, updating, the spruce up that needed to be done, which she could have paid at closing. They took care of that. And then they paid, and they sold it for 475. So the solution to these two stories, is your home will sell in any condition. And by using a realtor, certified senior housing professional like Elba and myself, we will always get you top dollar. And I didn't, on those two previous stories at the time, connect with an appraiser that I can now reach out to do a pre-appraisal to ensure that we get you top dollar. So by using a certified senior housing professional or a realtor like Elba and I, we can do the same things as investor flippers can do and traditional real estate agents can do. But the difference is that we're going to spend the money to get you a pre-appraisal, which is a $500 value. Once we know we're going to list and sell your property, or you're going to allow us to do that, we're going to pay for a pre-appraisal to get you the most money. Now, I will also want you to understand, if you're in a hurry to get it done, we have cash buyers. If you've got time and you want to kind of milk a little bit more money out of there, we can get you a company to come in, do the things that are going to get you the most money, and also is going to provide you with financing for all aspects, VA, FHA, whatever out there. So I want you to understand that we can do that just like everybody else can do it, but we're going to help you find a place to live. We're going to help you liquidate all the rest of the stuff, so it's not so overwhelming for you as you go through this process. So the fact is, after all, in most cases, the biggest asset you own is your home. And why not get the most money for that home? So I shared with you a couple stories, and this is going to be my last story. And it was a family who, there were 4 siblings. Their mother passed, and the one lady who always attends my seminar, knows about me, but her brother was in charge and he did a quick as is sale. Same story. They sold that property for $185 in the same area. They fixed it up, put it on the market, and sold it for $375. So not as much money, proximity in the same area, but not the best of neighborhoods. They were able to get and turn and flip for about $100,000. So I just want to share those type of stories when it comes to selling your home, your real estate, and what the value Alba and I offer as certified senior housing professionals is getting you the most money, helping you liquidate. You can either sell it through traditional listing. We could take in charge if you make the move, because we're always wanting to make sure you got a place to go before you list and sell that property. If you've already made that move, we'll take care of everything else and keep communicating with you all through that process. And the golden thing is, we're friends during the process and we're friends after the process. In closing, I hope you enjoyed today's Get Your Weekly Slice. If you'd like to discuss further today's topic, you can reach me via email at mike@your, Y-O-U-R, Florida, spelled out, Haven, Haven.com, or call me at 407-340-5291 to set up an appointment. I provide a free 1.5 hour in-person meeting to discuss your future plans on aging while providing you a minimum of 3 options to choose from. Don't forget to follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram. While on my website at yourfloridahaven.com, sign up for my monthly newsletter, RSV to any of my in-person events, which are held at the Orange County Library, Smarter Senior Seminar Series events, and to view any and all of my videos and podcasts. We hope these podcasts are helpful, and if they are, please share with your friends, family, and neighbors by letting them know what we offer as certified senior housing professionals, designated real estate agents, to our seniors and active adults as they age. We're a connector. It is about keeping seniors in the know. Till next time, when you come back to get your weekly slice.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Palumbo and Bertrand, attorneys at law.